Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel David White, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. Reps fix December 30th for 2024 budget passage. Appeal court upholds Tambuwal Wamako senatorial election plus. Ukraine army struggles to find recruits as war with Russia rages. We'll bring you details of the stories and many more in a moment. We begin the news this afternoon from the Green Chambers, where the Speaker of House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has said the 2024 budget proposal would be passed on December 30, 2023. The lawmaker representing Zaria Federal Constituency stated these on the floor of the Green Chamber at the resumption of plenary today. This is just as he notified committee chairman that their preparation committee has directed them to prepare reports of the budget defense by the various ministries, departments and agencies for submission. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the military bombing of innocent unarmed civilians in Tudumbiri, a village in Kaduna State. This resolution was sequel to a motion of urgent public importance moved by Omara Ajilo today at the resumption of plenary. Moving the motion, Ajilo said the House should be concerned about the intermittent reoccurrence of bombing of civilians by the military. He stated that the bombings point to a failure of intelligence by the military. To the judiciary now, where the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in two appeals filed by Gbadebo Roddy's Vivor, candidates of the Labour Party LP, and his counterpart in the People's Democratic Party PDP Aziz Adeniran against the election of Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The appeals by Roddy's Vivor and Adeniran are against the earlier judgment of the Court of Appeal in Lagos, which affirmed the two decisions of the election tribunal, which dismissed their petition challenging Sanwo-Olu's victory in the last governorship election. Reports say a five-member panel of the Supreme Court presided over by Justice John Okoro told parties that they would be informed when the judgments are ready. Meanwhile, the Deputy Governor Femi Hamzat, Secretary to the State Government Abimbola Salu Hundain, and some other senior officials of the Lagos State Government witnessed the court session. Meanwhile, a Court of Appeal Abuja Division has upheld the election of two former governors of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal and Aliyu Wamako, as senators representing Sokoto South and Sokoto North. The election of Tambuwal, the immediate past governor of the state and the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, was challenged by the immediate past senator representing the district, Ibrahim Dambaba, while Wamako was challenged by the immediate past deputy governor of the state, Manara Dania. The three-man judges, led by Justice Mustafa Mohammed in two separate judgments, struck out Dambaba's petition against Tambuwal and awarded a fine of 500,000 naira in favor of the defendant and his political party, the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Speaking, one of the lead counsels for the defendant and the PDP, Suleiman Osman, said while elections of Tambuwal were upheld, the petitions of his former deputy against Wamako were struck out. To Nigeria's leader now, President Bola Tinubu, who has reiterated his commitment to media freedom and respecting opinions, whether adversarial or complementary to his government. Tinubu's media aide Ajiri Ngalale met this note in Abuja, saying that the president made the pledge at a meeting with members of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NAPAN. Tinubu promised NAPAN members that he would consider their demand for a review of policies affecting newspaper publishing and acknowledge concerns raised by the association about regulations inhibiting access to newsprint. He also assured that the federal government would cushion the high cost of transportation by granting waivers to airlines, road and rail transport operators in the spirit of the Yuletide. Away from that, the federal government has said that it is engaging Islamic teachers enough to tackle the problem of out-of-school children, which it described as unacceptable and disheartening. The Minister of Education, Yusuf Sanunu, disclosed this at the opening ceremony of a two-day education summit organized by the Bauchi state government in Bauchi. The minister urged states to take a similar step as the federal government to reduce the number of out-of-school children. He added that efforts were ongoing to integrate the Sangha and Madrasa schools and enough into basic education. Meanwhile, the federal government, through the Executive Secretary of Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, DTH Channel, has described as alarming the number of Nigerian universities lecturers staying abroad after studying via TET Fund sponsorship. A Channel who disclosed this while speaking with journalists during the TET Fund management retreat in Makurdi, Benue State, vowed that the board would make the absconded academics refund the money spent on them or be repatriated. He said the organization devised the two ways, soft and hard measures to ensure that the affected teachers are sanctioned. The executive secretary also confirmed that TET Fund had disbursed over 400 billion naira to tertiary institutions nationwide. In a separate development, the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Christopher Musa, has vowed to ensure punitive measures against any military personnel found culpable of illicit drug abuse and trafficking. Musa gave the assurance when he visited the chairman, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Marawa, retired, in Abuja. The CDS commended the NDLEA for the great turnaround in the war against drug abuse and trafficking, saying the action has positively changed the negative perception about Nigeria in the international community. He said the agency's effort have also motivated the military to introduce drug tests as a requirement for training and promotion in the armed forces. The Chief of Defense Staff pledged to continue support of the armed forces to NDLEA in its renewed fight against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking. In another development, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has deployed 1,200 personnel to ensure the protection of lives and properties during the Christmas celebrations in Adamawa. The spokesman of the Corps, Yakob Baba, told newsmen in Yola that the personnel had been sent to strategic places to ensure the maintenance of law and order across the 21 local government areas of the state. According to Baba, the commandant of the Corps, Ibrahim Mainasara, cautioned the personnel against unprofessional acts capable of causing trouble during the festive period. Away from that, the Director General Debt Management Office, DMO, Patience Oniha, has disclosed that the federal government, FG, borrowed 7.04 trillion naira locally in 2024, adding that the figure was the federal government's domestic target for the year. She revealed this while speaking on the sidelines of the discussions for the establishment of the African Debt Managers Initiative Network, spearheaded by the African Development Institute of the African Development Bank in Abuja. Oniha, however, said that the domestic borrowing of about 7.04 trillion naira has been raised in full. She noted that several of the investors in the securities issued were institutions whose balance sheets were growing, including asset managers, fund managers, pension funds, insurance companies, and banks. In Kaduna, Governor Obasani has presented the 2024 budget proposal of 458 billion naira to the State House of Assembly for approval. The budget, tagged Budget for Rural Transformation for Inclusive Development, has a capital expenditure of 318.8 billion naira and recurrent spending of 139.4 billion naira. Representing a capital to recurrent ratio of 69.57% to 30.43%, the governor explained that education has the largest share of the 115.4 billion naira, while the state would be spending 71.6 billion naira on the health sector. He said the recurrent expenditure estimates personnel cost at 74.9 billion naira, overhead cost 39 billion naira, public debt charges 25 billion naira, amounting to 139 billion as a recurrent expenditure, with net recurrent revenue at 85.9 billion naira. And from the South-South region, critical stakeholders in the political crisis rocking Rivers State have agreed to resolve the weeks-long conflict. The decision was taken at a meeting President Bola Tinubu held with Governor Siminalayi Fubara, a former governor of the state, Peter Odili, and the immediate past governor, Nyesom Wike, and other stakeholders at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. According to a resolution signed by the parties, the president directed that all matters instituted in the court by the governor and his team in respect of the political crisis be withdrawn immediately, and all impeachment proceedings initiated against the governor by the State House of Assembly should be dropped. Likewise, the president directed that the names of all commissioners in the Rivers State Executive Council who resigned their appointments because of the political crisis in the state should be resubmitted to the House of Assembly for approval, adding that there should not be a caretaker committee for the local government in Rivers State, declaring the dissolution of the local government administration as null and void. Also, Fubara, who had earlier presented the 2024 appropriation bill of the state to 4 members of the assembly, shall re-present and state budget to a properly constituted Rivers State House of Assembly. The resolution was signed by Fubara, Wike National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, Speaker, Rivers State Assembly, Martin Amewole, PDP Chairman, Rivers State, Aaron Chukwemeka, and APC Chairman, Rivers State, Tony Okocha. And now to Africa, where DR Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi held his last political rally ahead of Wednesday's polls in a bid to retain his seat as the leader of the Central African country. Tshisekedi, in his campaign promises, said he will create more jobs, put an end to conflict in the East, and provide more infrastructure for the country. Reports say the election campaign was peaceful, a feat in a country whose first peaceful transition of power since independence in 1960 occurred in 2018. And still in Africa, Guinea's Minister of Security and Civil Protection, Bachera Diallo, says the explosion at the fuel depot has been contained. Diallo made this known after a visit to the incident scene, where he noted that at least 13 people were killed and 178 people seriously injured. He added that all the necessary measures taken to fight the fire has been effective. Meanwhile, the country's Ministry of Health said the explosion, accompanied by a fire, occurred in the administrative and business district of Bakalum near the port. On the foreign scene, after 22 months of war with a horrific human cost, the Ukrainian army is struggling to find recruits to battle Russian forces that are once again on the offensive. Reports say some Ukrainians who joined the fighting at the February 2022 start are still in combat and exhausted, while volunteers to replace those killed or wounded are becoming rarer. The commander of the battalion in the 24th Mechanized Brigade opted to cancel an outdoor training session for a new recruit because of frost, aiming to avoid injuries to his much-needed troops. Volkov noted that some people may have been misled into believing Ukraine's war effort was nearing victory, even as concern grows in Kyiv that Western patience and backing could be cracking. And still on the foreign scene, rescuers in remote villages of northwest China dug through the rubbles of collapsed homes today after a country's deadliest earthquake in years killed at least 128 people and injured hundreds more. State media and a shallow tremor just before midnight had caused the deaths of at least 113 and injured more than 530 in impoverished Gansu province as of today. According to reports, a further 13 died, 182 were injured and 20 were missing in Haidong in neighboring Qinghai province. Still to come in the news, Messi to face boyhood club Newell's in friendly. To stay with us.
Every day marks a day of significance.
That in view of the apology tendered by this former minister who had earlier been cleared by this August Assembly,
as we face critical issues, developments and events which shape our social and political landscape here in Nigeria and beyond. Political Spectrum is a program specially designed to help make sense of all the moving parts of developments and occurrences in our nation's polity and political economy.
There is nothing wrong with Nigeria, but there's everything wrong.
The educational history of public figures holds significance beyond mere biographical details.
From executive, legislative and judicial developments at national and subnational levels to international diplomacy and relations.
Join us for exclusive interviews with key political figures, expert opinions, analysts, thought-provoking conversations for and against, shedding light on the major issues that matter. We will always keep you updated on the most factual, smartest and unbiased reportage.
Stay tuned to Political Spectrum. Political Spectrum. All sides matter at the round table. Political Spectrum. Exclusive to Spectrum Television.
Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. Over now to our business news. On our business news, data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) has revealed that the trade balance between Nigeria and China increased to 7.54 trillion naira in the first 9 months of 2023. According to an analysis of data, the bilateral trade deficit in favor of China is widening, with a steady increase in Nigeria's import from the Asian country in the past 1 year. The data also showed that Nigeria imported 8.4 trillion naira worth of goods from China in the 9 months between January and September 2023. According to the NBS, the countries imported 1.29 trillion naira worth of produce in quarter 1, 2.56 trillion naira in quarter 2, and 4.53 trillion naira in quarter 3. And still in business, data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) has also revealed that the import of kerosene-type jet fuel fell by 26.58% to 358.08 billion naira in the first 9 months of 2023, underscoring foreign exchange scarcity in the aviation sector. It said the figures is a 129.65 billion naira decline from the 487.73 billion naira that was spent in the corresponding period of 2022. According to the data, in the first quarter of 2023, 70.16 billion naira was spent on jet fuel. It increased to 143.96 billion naira in quarter 2 and 143.96 billion naira in quarter 3. The airlines under the aegis of Airlines Operators of Nigeria have asked the federal government to allow them to produce the requisite license for the importation and distribution of aviation fuel and dedicated access to foreign exchange from the Central Bank of Nigeria. In health, the Nigeria Medical Association (NMA) has called on the federal government to compensate the victims of the bombing in Tudunbiri, Kaduna State. The NMA National President Dr. Uche Ojinma met the call at a news conference in Abuja. According to him, the decision was part of the resolutions reached at the end of the association's National Executive Council meeting in Abuja. He said that the association communicates with the Kaduna State government and the federal government, as well as commended the military for accepting responsibility and offering an apology. Ojinma noted that the federal government should adequately compensate the victims and foot the bills of those in hospitals. Still in health, the Imo State government has pledged to construct 260 primary health care centers across the state. Governor Peter Amba made this known during an inspection tour of a primary health center at Ogonogoji, Njono, Apugo, in the Nkanu West local government area of the state. He also promised to ensure that every local government area got at least one world-class secondary health facility. According to the governor, his administration was prioritizing healthcare delivery because it understood the importance of a healthy population and workforce. In sport, Lionel Messi is expected to line up against his boyhood club Newell's Old Boys after the Argentine team agreed to a pre-season friendly game at Inter Miami in February. The Major League Soccer club announced that they would host Newell's at their DRV PNK Stadium on February 15. Newell's are based in the city of Rosario, where Messi was born and grew up, playing for their youth team before moving to Spanish club Barcelona, age 13. Inter coach Gerardo Tata Martino also hails from the city and played for the club in 3 spells before returning as the team's coach in 2012. On our entertainment news, Grammy-nominated singer Seun Kuti has said his musical success is not tied to being the son of late Afrobeat pioneer Fela Kuti. He said he and his elder brother Femi Kuti and nephew Made Kuti have had successful music careers because of their deliberate effort and dedication. The controversial singer and Fela's father, Fela's father, Reverend Israel Ransom Kuti, was also a musician, but people never credited his musical achievements to his father. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel David White. Good afternoon.